Before you ever earned your first dollar, your mind had already learned what money meant. The real story of your financial life began in childhood, in moments you don't even remember. Money is often seen as a modern problem, a challenge that begins when we receive our first salary, open a bank account, or start paying bills. But the truth is far more subtle and deeply rooted. Long before we earn our first dollar, our beliefs about money are already forming. They are shaped quietly, invisibly, in childhood, through the voices, habits, fears, and behaviors of our parents and caregivers. This documentary explores how your parents programmed your money beliefs, not through intentional lessons, but through everyday moments that left lasting psychological imprints. Human beings are not born with financial instincts. A newborn does not understand saving, spending, or investing. What we do have is a powerful learning brain that absorbs patterns from our environment. Psychologists call this social learning, the process by which children imitate behaviors and internalize beliefs from adults around them. In the context of money, this means children learn not just what their parents say about money, but how they act, how they feel, and how they react emotionally to financial situations. These early patterns often become unconscious scripts that guide financial decisions for decades. In the early 20th century, psychologist Sigmund Freud and later developmental psychologists emphasized that childhood experiences shape adult personality. While Freud's theories have evolved, modern neuroscience confirms that early experiences strongly influence brain development. During childhood, the brain is highly plastic, meaning it is constantly wiring itself based on repeated experiences. When children repeatedly hear phrases like, "We can't afford that," "Money is the root of all evil," or "Rich people are greedy," those phrases do not remain simple words. They become emotional truths encoded in the brain's neural pathways. Parents rarely intend to program limiting money beliefs. Most are simply reacting to their own financial realities. A parent who grew up in poverty may feel constant anxiety around money and express fear whenever expenses arise. A parent who grew up wealthy may treat money casually, signaling to a child that resources are endless. Both scenarios shape how a child perceives money, risk, and security. Research in behavioral economics shows that financial behaviors are often inherited culturally rather than genetically. Children raised in financially anxious households are more likely to become risk-averse adults, while those raised in financially confident environments are more likely to take entrepreneurial risks. One of the strongest ways parents program money beliefs is through emotional modeling. When a child sees a parent arguing over bills, expressing shame about debt, or celebrating financial success, the child learns to associate money with specific emotions. Fear, stress, pride, or entitlement become linked to financial concepts. Neuroscientists have shown that emotional learning is stored in the brain's limbic system, which influences behavior even when we are not consciously thinking about it. This means that as adults, many people feel anxiety, guilt, or excitement about money without fully understanding why. The roots often trace back to childhood emotional experiences. Language plays a powerful role in shaping financial identity. Repeated statements become internalized beliefs. A child who hears, "We are not good with money," may grow up believing financial success is not for people like them. A child who hears, "Money is hard to earn," may develop a belief that wealth requires suffering. Conversely, hearing, "Money is a tool," or "We can always find solutions," can foster a mindset of abundance and problem solving. Linguistic research shows that repeated narratives influence self-concept, and financial narratives are no exception. Another subtle influence is how parents reward or punish financial behavior. Some parents give money as a reward for good grades or behavior, teaching children that money equals approval. Others refuse to discuss money, creating a taboo that makes financial topics feel shameful or forbidden. Sociologists have documented that families who openly discuss budgeting and saving tend to raise children with higher financial literacy. Silence, on the other hand, often leads to confusion and avoidance of financial planning in adulthood. Cultural and historical context also shapes parental money programming. Parents who lived through economic crises, wars, or hyperinflation often carry deep financial trauma. For example, people who lived through the Great Depression in the 1930s were known to be extremely frugal, often hoarding money and avoiding spending even decades later. Studies on intergenerational trauma suggest that these attitudes can be transmitted to children through behavior and storytelling. Similarly, families who experience rapid economic growth may develop strong optimism about wealth and opportunity. Education systems rarely teach children about money in depth, which makes parental influence even stronger. In many countries, financial education was historically absent from school curricula. As a result, children relied almost entirely on family modeling. Economists have found that early financial habits, such as saving allowances or observing budgeting practices, strongly predict adult financial outcomes. This means that the everyday actions of parents, whether intentional or not, can shape a child's lifelong financial trajectory. The brain's reward system also plays a role. Children observe how parents use money for pleasure, security, or status. A parent who buys luxury items to feel successful teaches that money equals identity and self-worth. A parent who saves for future goals teaches delayed gratification. The famous Stanford marshmallow experiment in the 1970s demonstrated that children who could delay gratification tended to have better life outcomes, including financial stability. Parental modeling of patience and planning reinforces this ability. Over time, these childhood lessons become automatic beliefs. Psychologists refer to these as money scripts, unconscious rules about how money works and what it means. Some scripts promote success, such as believing money is a tool for growth. Others are limiting, such as believing wealth is immoral or unattainable. These scripts influence career choices, spending habits, relationships, and even mental health. Financial stress is a leading cause of anxiety and relationship conflict worldwide, and many of these issues stem from deeply rooted beliefs formed in childhood. Understanding how parents programmed money beliefs is not about blame. Parents operate within their own constraints, shaped by their upbringing, society, and historical circumstances. The purpose of this understanding is awareness. When individuals recognize that their financial behaviors are learned patterns, they gain the power to change them. Neuroscience shows that the brain remains plastic throughout life. New beliefs and habits can be formed through education, reflection, and deliberate practice. In the modern world, where financial systems are more complex than ever, recognizing these early influences is essential. Credit cards, digital payments, investments, and global markets require not only technical knowledge but also psychological resilience. By examining the origins of our money beliefs, we can separate inherited fears from reality, inherited limitations from potential, and inherited habits from conscious choice. Your parents did not just give you genes, values, and memories. They gave you a financial blueprint written quietly in the moments of everyday life. Whether that blueprint led to security or struggle, abundance or anxiety, understanding its origins is the first step toward rewriting it. Money, after all, is not just a currency in your wallet. It is a story in your mind, and like all stories, it can be changed. Your money beliefs were learned, not born, and anything learned can be unlearned and rewritten. The moment you understand the story you inherited, you gain the power to write a new one.